Keelon Russell out of Duncanville, Texas, is the quarterback that everyone is talking about this offseason. Russell could be a key piece to the remaining QB dominoes, but if somebody wants him, they're going to have to flip him from SMU. We got Billy Embody here from On the Pony Express to break down the hottest recruitment in the country. But first, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Lock in. We talk recruiting all offseason long. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring in Billy Embody. Now, Billy, how was SMU able to identify and then lock down an early commitment from Keelon Russell, who now is a top 10 quarterback in America?
Yeah, the secret got out about Keelon Russell after the 2022 season when he led Duncanville to that state championship, the first of back-to-back. SMU saw him that season, as many people did, and they ended up offering him later on in 2023 and really honing in on him over the course of the spring. And he emerged as a top 100 prospect at that Under Armour Dallas camp back in the spring of 2023. SMU turned up the heat from there. It was really Keelon Russell and Ty Hawkins who ended up committing to TCU. Mm-hmm. The Mustangs, over the course of the summer, just kept chipping away, getting him on campus, and really catching his eye. And ultimately, as they moved into the ACC with that news coming that they were going to move in, they were able to get him on board. It was Rhett Lashley. It was former SMU staffer Keenan Hall, Johnny Brewer, the former quarterbacks coach, now at Duke. A bunch of SMU people were involved in this one, recruiting him to get him to commit, and now it's about holding on to him.
Yeah, and holding on to him is not going to be easy because the Sharks are circling. And when I say Sharks, I'm talking Texas, Florida, and most recently on Sunday, Alabama Crimson Tide offer. How do you view the competition, and who do you see as like maybe the biggest threat right now to SMU?
Yeah, there's two schools that I'm really keeping the most attention on right now, and that's now Alabama with their offer. Keelon's been pretty adamant that he would like to, at some point, really look at playing on a massive stage. And when I think about the programs that have been involved in this recruitment, it's really Alabama and now Texas, with their college football playoff appearance. But we are watching, obviously, Texas's quarterback situation, so they might not end up pressing for Keelon Russell. But that Alabama offer is a big one. It's an eye catcher for him. Those are the two schools that I'm watching closely. He's fresh off that Ole Miss official visit that went well. They've been recruiting him for a while. SMU beat out Ole Miss in the fall when they took his commitment. And then Florida, they'll have to weather that official visit later on as well. But Alabama and Texas are the big ones for me right now.
All right, so take us behind the scenes of this recruitment. How does the SMU staff feel about Keelon Russell's commitment? He's being recruited. He's taking some visits. Is SMU confident? What are your sources saying?
Rhett Lashley is really taking a big role in this recruitment, along with new quarterbacks coach De'Aaron King. And he's a guy that has played in SMU's offense very recently and played for Rhett Lashley. And so those two are really tag teaming it, as well as the entire staff really trying to make sure he knows how wanted he is. Another big key in this recruitment for SMU that they haven't really done much of over the course of this NIL era is how will NIL play a factor from SMU's angle. And that's something that I still think is a card that they are going to play at some point over the course of this recruitment as it gets down to that time where Keelon's going to make a final decision. And he wants to do that before his senior season. But SMU is feeling pretty good about where they stand. They know it's Alabama, it's Texas, it's some big schools around the country. But SMU is really showing him, look, you can stay home and be a star. Look at what some of the quarterbacks have done in Rhett Lashley's offense. He is your head coach. He's your play caller. And he is going to work hand in hand with De'Aaron King to make sure you can be that guy and go to SMU and be a hometown hero. And you see all the support that Duncanville players get for winning a state championship and winning it in their backyard at AT&T Stadium. That's what SMU is pitching to Keelon Russell. And they know he can be an instant impact type of player for him. They feel good about keeping him. They've just got to go through these visits and try to come out all clear on the other side of them.
Yeah. 5 years ago, I might have asked you, can SMU weather these visits that Keelon Russell's about to take? But in 2024, let's just get to it. Can SMU weather the NIL offers that could be coming Keelon Russell's direction?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Keelon Russell is I think SMU staff would still like him to be this, kind of well thought of middle of the road 4-star rather than
Right.
an ascending top 100, quite honestly, probably in the conversation for a 5-star, as you're a top 100 player at the quarterback position, you're at least sniffing around there, at least going into your senior season. They'd rather be a little bit more low key. But that is the thing about SMU is they've done so well in the transfer portal with NIL. They have a massive collective that has really stepped up over the course of the last few years, both acquiring talent and retaining talent. And SMU is now going to start turning that attention to high school players because, look, they're in the ACC now. That's something that SMU hasn't been able to say. They're now a Power 4 program, and they've spent all the money on facilities. That box is checked. $120 million end zone complex opens this fall. They can now really hone in on some of those donations going to NIL. And of course, we'll see how revenue sharing goes on top of that. But SMU is going to make a competitive proposal or the collective or however you want to frame it to Keelon Russell and his family and his camp, because he's a guy they really feel like they need to keep. And we know that pockets are deep across the country, but SMU has some pretty deep pockets as well. So they're going to make a competitive offer, I would feel like.
Yeah, I believe it. I've heard that SMU does have what it takes, NIL-wise, to battle for a guy and maybe potentially hold on to Keelon Russell. So that leads me to my next question. Billy, what's your prediction? Stick or flip here ultimately with Keelon Russell and SMU?
Yeah, we'll have to reconvene in June, of course, because you never know on this type of stuff. But I just feel like there's been so much buzz around when is he going to back off? When is he going to back off? And he hasn't yet. And some big offers have come his way. He's taken some pretty big visits. And at this point, I'm leaning towards sticking. And it'll be, honestly, Alabama, Texas. Those will be the two schools that I really watch closely to see what they do. If Alabama offers more quarterbacks, if Texas ultimately does have a spot for him, that's what I'm watching for in this quarterback domino world to see if that ultimately changes how I feel. But right now, I lean towards stick. They've done a nice job getting him on campus and showing him he's a priority. And they haven't even played, that NIL card either.
Yeah, right now, Rhett Lashley standing in the middle of the boxing ring, just throwing haymakers with Texas and the top teams in the nation. Now, all of a sudden, Alabama runs into the ring. Now they got to fend off Bama. Boy, not an easy task. So when is Russell going to be back on campus at SMU?
Yeah, SMU is hosting a ton of top 100 prospects May 17th. Keelon Russell will be among them. It's going to be one of the biggest recruiting weekends of the summer, especially for SMU. That'll be a time where they're going to have about 20 prospects on campus, numerous 4-stars. So they're hoping that by the time he gets to campus, they've maybe settled some things a little bit. I don't know if that'll be the case, but they're going to have a chance to make their pitch and continue to prioritize them and all those things. May 17th, it'll be a massive weekend for SMU.
All right, you guys are the experts. Tap in below, comment section. Do we think Keelon Russell's going to flip? Is he going to stick to SMU? Let me know, comment section below. Billy Embody, appreciate you dropping by today on the Inside Scoop and talking about one of the hottest quarterbacks on the market.
Anytime, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.